Greetings, Mindcrafters, and welcome to another exciting Minecraft discussion on this day. My name is Kimberly Quinn, and that's Giovanni over there rubbing probably something disgusting in the leaves over there, enjoying every minute of it. And we are out here in the gorgeous stick season. In fact, I think of I have a good friend who talks about burnt sienna at this time of the fall because there's a crayon apparently in the Crayola box. It's called burnt sienna, and there isn't a better or more accurate way to describe November. It's actually almost November. It's not November yet. We have a couple more days, but this is what November looks like: burnt sienna, that orangey color. Anyway, so Giovanni and I are super excited to be back in the woods. You can tell he's there he goes. He's flying around all over the place with his mindfulness goat vest on because it's actually not hunting season yet, but we're just being careful. It's actually muzzle loading today, which is not a big threat, and there's no trucks out there. But we're just being safe. Anywho, but we don't usually come at this time of day. This is dusky. We usually come in the morning, and we also have to wait in the morning for it not to be darkish because the creatures of the night can still be sort of around, like our bear friends, and Giovanni would think we'd love to play with them. But anyway, so circling around, we would like to talk. Gee, come here, come on. We'd like to talk about he and I about your explanatory style because we all have one, and I'm not sure if people really are always aware of how important it is to get the connection between the words we use, the language we use, to describe, the events of let's just say describe our stories. The stories of the day, the stories of yesterday, the stories of last week or whatever. And the connection to what's going on in the cabeza, because there's a very direct connection. And so when we talk about explanatory styles, and just like I speak about a lot when we talk about most anything, is that rarely in life does anything happen like here or here, right? I mean, there's pessimism, optimism in the whole middle. And life doesn't really exist in absolutes, which we're actually going to get to in a second. And so, for the pessimist has traits that are, optimist has traits too. The 3 P's. So things are personal, pervasive, and permanent. Personal, pervasive, and permanent. So it means they're bringing things, whatever going on out here, their story, whatever incident, event, circumstance, whatever happened, bring it all right in the living room, and then it's gonna happen, a lot all over, and then it's gonna be, permanent, like that's the way it is forever, kind of thing. So those are kind of the 3 P's represent very, very rigid thinking, and it really isn't the most comfortable way to be, the most pleasant way to be. And it's great if we can shift out of that. So some examples would be, no one likes me. Think about the statistical probability. Since there are 8 billion people on the planet, that's not really statistically possible for no one to like you. Everyone, my anxiety always, gets in the way and ruins things. You never listen to me. It's not possible for a partner or a roommate or friend or whatever to never listen, because that would mean every second of every day, every nanosecond of every second of every minute of every hour of every day, like it's just not statistically possible. This very rigid thinking. And so another example that Loretta LaRoche, one of my favorite comedians, has used a bunch is it rains on your day off. So it can rain on the optimist day and rains on the pessimist day. But rains on the pessimist day off, they say, oh no, oh my God, it's raining. It's raining again on my day off. How come it always rains on my day off? How come it's never nice out on my day off? Polarized words, right? Absolutes. How come it always rains on my day off? As if the clouds, have a conspiracy going, and that they've kind of boxed you in, chosen you to be the one who has the days off that are always rainy, right? And they just, they got your number, and they're after you. They're out to, the clouds are out to get you, kind of thing. Think about that. The optimist would realize it's raining and say, okay, and they'd grab a raincoat and umbrella and head out the door kind of thing. And there's a huge difference. And it's also important to realize, because when people sometimes, when they talk about optimists, sometimes they have it in their heads, especially if they're on the pessimist side of things, because they're looking through the lens of that, right? So they often think that we optimists have just been like hit the happiness lottery. We got the golden Wonka ticket. Giovanni, come here. Come on. That we got the golden Wonka ticket and we just got lucky and we're happy. And that, of course, isn't it. It's also not the case that there's an optimism or happiness fairy that sprinkles pixie dust, happiness pixie dust on our heads, and then we wake up and then we're happy. That's not how it works. Just like anything else in life, we need to first be aware of whatever it is, then make a conscious choice, and then make the effort. And this is very important. And then we go, 3 steps forward. If we slide 1 back, we're still two steps more, forward than we were before. And the optimist looks at it that way, not so much focused on the 1 step back. And the other thing people say about optimists sometimes is that, they're not, they're avoiding, they use the phrase toxic positivity sometimes, or toxic positivity sometimes. And that's not really it, because it doesn't describe optimism anyway, because the optimist doesn't ignore reality, does not ignore negative emotion. We actually just talked about this in Minecraft last week, because the optimist knows that, to feel is to heal, to share is to care. So we feel the feelings, share them. It's just that we close the chapter. We feel it, process it, and then make a conscious choice to shift out of it. Because most often it takes that conscious choice, just like it does to forgive people. Sometimes people think the forgiveness fairy sprinkles pixie dust on them too. Like, I'm not ready yet. Now, something happened yesterday. It also depends on the magnitude, obviously. Something huge and tragic isn't going to be immediate, but if it's been like 5 years, year, 2, 3, 4, 5, if we wait to be ready to be optimistic, we wait to be ready to forgive when it's been a long time, you'll be waiting your whole life. Meanwhile, your life minutes are going by. And so here's the thing. So our explanatory style has a whole lot to do with how we live our lives. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And it's very, very important to realize that and to use good words, because if you hear yourself saying always, never, no one, everyone, nothing, always, always, and realize that be aware of that is sort of saying something about your thinking being a little rigid. So you never listen to me thing, that's when I give the example of that, I say it like, let's say it's partners. So this is also true if it's just a conversation with ourselves, because it's really not different. Only the other one involves another person. When you say to your partner, you never listen to me. On the partner side, even if it's true that they're not listening the majority of the time, again, it's not statistically possible that they're not listening ever. It's nanoseconds. It's just not possible. And that might be legit, feelings. But at least if you say, I'm not feeling listened to much lately. I'm not feeling listened to a lot lately. The majority of the time, maybe I'm not feeling listened to. All of that is better than saying I'm not listened to. You're not listening. You're never listening to me, because the partner, again, even if maybe they've been caught up in work and their head's been everywhere and they haven't been listening, at least it gives them the chance to say, gosh, honey, or, I you know what, you're right. And I didn't realize it. And it gives them at least a little window to make it better. Let's go on a date, let's go out. Or if, let's say it's not a partner, it's a best friend, and wow, I've had so much on my mind. I got wrapped up in this new job. I'm so sorry. But if we say you never listen to me, it's kind of like, why bother? You're pushed against a wall. There are no windows and no doors and no way out. Well, when we speak like that, even if it doesn't involve the other person, it's just us. Not just us, we're important. I'm just saying it's not the other person. It doesn't leave us an exit door either. So rigid thinking is just not really the way to go. It's very much sort of an expression of fixed mindset, which means that person is feeling stuck or is stuck in a certain, thought pattern, versus growth mindset, which basically says that things aren't permanent. Even things like intelligence and things like that do have some genetics can still they're malleable. We can still become more intelligent. We can become more whatever that's positive if we choose to, and we put in the effort. If we put in the effort, and it's very Carol Dweck, she talks about that a lot. So your explanatory style is something that's good to have a handle on, because only we can't know what we can't do what we don't know, right? We can't do what we don't know. But once we do know, we become responsible. My friend Dr. Dave says that. And actually, he had a great 80th birthday party last night. It was so awesome. It was just so awesome. Anyway, he has said that forever. So once we have this awareness of explanatory style, we can start to catch ourselves, because our words again have power. So when we reduce the times we're saying words like that, we're going to feel better. And also, like Wayne Dyer says, this leads to the absolutes too. When we use the words, I am, those are so strong. People don't get it. You're like, oh, I'm so tired. Well, if you say that all day, how do you think you're going to feel? You're going to go past tired into exhausted into fatigued, because that's how it is. Oh, I'm so depressed. Well, you're kind of committing to that, making a declaration. Of course you are. You're going to stay that way. So it's really, really important to be aware of your language, be aware of how you explain your own story, be aware of explaining how you feel. We're not saying don't be honest. Of course, be honest. You just want to really pay attention to it, because it all starts with the thinking, right? Thoughts followed by feelings, and then actions or behavior. We cannot feel sad without thinking sad thoughts. We cannot feel anxious or insecure without thinking anxious or insecure thoughts. We cannot feel happy without thinking happy thoughts. It's just how it is. So you want to be hyper aware of the language you're using, even if there's nobody else involved, just for your own self, because you can prime your day to be way positive, really to go as well as it possibly can. If one of the ways to do it is to manage what you're telling yourself, because again, thoughts create the feelings. You can't feel it if the thought didn't create it first, and the words will tell you what you're thinking. Okay, awesome. This is Kimberly Quinn and Little Giovanni signing off from beautiful stick season at the Notch in northern Vermont. Have a mindful day.